Hey everyone, my name's John Lehman and I have a quick tip for you for a side project completion strategy. Just a tiny bit of a backstory. About a year ago or so, I found it super difficult to complete any side project. And this was mostly due to the fact that while I'd be working on one project, I'd have dozens of ideas coming in, popping into my head, and they would completely derail me. I would have, new motivation to try out this new project, and then nothing would ever get done because it was just a perpetual cycle. And so it really wasn't an issue of not having enough time or not having the motivation, but just rather not having the focus. And so I tried out a couple of different strategies, but I wanted to share with you today the one that worked for me, which is essentially just a Kanban board in Notion. And so the links will be below to those templates, totally free. Just click on them, duplicate them, use them, customize them, and tell me what you think. So if we can just jump right in here, I can kind of give you a quick explainer. So we have 4 columns. This tabled one here is actually optional, so you really only have to have 3. But essentially you just have your backlog of all of your ideas, your in-progress ideas, and your completed ones. And then again, the tabled being optional. Tabled is really just for ideas that were in progress, and then for whatever reason you decided that there was a hard stop, something completely stopping you from being able to complete that project that's outside of your control. So just to give you an example, I can go to the top right here, and next to new there's a little arrow. I can click new idea, and that'll kind of give me a blank slate. And so let's say our new idea here is for a super cool dashboard kit, let's say. And then so it's already going into the backlog, so that's good. In the project type, you can totally customize these however you see fit. But these are just a short list of the different project types that worked for me. And so in this instance, let's say this is going to be a freebie dashboard kit. For searchable tags, I purposely left this as freeform text. So really here you're just putting in keywords so that later on, if your backlog happens to be 100, 200 ideas deep, these keywords will help you be able to find what you are looking for. So we can just put in any keywords here. We can do a UI kit, user interface, modern, I don't know, simple, minimal, analytics, etc. You kind of get the idea. Oops, I put modern, not modern. So underneath that, the most important part is going to be the description. So just to kind of give you the scenario, you're currently working on a project, you get this new idea into your brain, and you have all these ideas. So this is the area just to brain dump all of those thoughts. So you explain the idea. What will this project do? Who is it for? And why is it important? Those are all important matters that you want it to put in this kind of description area. Past that, I'm kind of assuming that you're a visual learner, or you kind of think visually. I'm a designer, so I like to kind of create mood boards based on kind of what I'm thinking. And so just to kind of give you an example here, let's say I was inspired by this dribble shot here. So what you could do is come in here, add something to the inspiration. So you can just put the title of the inspiration here. So I'll just match the current one, which is Dashboard for Engineers. The author's name is something I can't quite pronounce, but you can check out his work. It looks very snazzy. You can copy the link just so I can always get back to what inspired me. Again, you can add some searchable tags, and then you can just copy the image, throw it in there. And then we can see when we jump into our idea here, you can see that it appears. And so this can kind of be like a inspiration mood board, so that 5 months later, when you decide to take this project off the shelf, you kind of have that inspiration that you originally had. And so let's say during those 5 months before you take it off the shelf, you have several supporting ideas. So for instance, you could have read an article or saw a framework that would be really useful, or saw a YouTube tutorial that would be really useful when building out this project. You can mention all those things in this findings and research. And again, the whole purpose is for you to basically give yourself permission to forget about it. If you're like me, what would happen is I would see a tutorial that I think would be good for this future project, and watching that tutorial would instantly turn into me actually investing project time building it out. And next thing I know, I'm completely derailed from what I was working on. So instead of doing that, just put the link to the tutorial or article in the findings and research, and then walk away, forget about it, focus on what you were working on originally. And then so past that, so you can see here I have 2 in progress. And so for me, I have a hard rule that I can only have 2 projects in my in progress at a time. That allows me to stay focused yet fresh. If I get tired of working on one project, then I'll jump over to the other. But the idea here is to limit the number in this column. It might not be 2 for you, maybe it'll be 3. Everyone's projects and workloads and multitasking ability is different. But anyway, come up with a rule that works for you and stick to it. The only reason you should move an item out of in progress and into a category other than completed is if you have a really good reason in doing so. So for instance here, the Not Hot Dog app. My reason that I mentioned down here, that it was tabled on May 14th, 2017, because some other guy had a way better idea, executed on the idea way better than I did. And so there was no need for me to kind of introduce this new Not Hot Dog app into the world because it was already done. But it's important to document that so that if you have the idea again, or you wonder, hey, I wonder why I stopped working on this, you always have that documentation to tell you that. You'll notice that there's also in progress notes down here at the bottom. This is an area that you can use kind of however you want. For me, I mentioned roadmaps here. So while I was working on a project, I listed the key features or functionality I needed for this particular project, for MVP and for post MVP, etc. So basically, it'll just kind of create this home for the idea where all the documentation exists. And so again, so that if you need to table it or if you need to walk away, all of that progress, all the documentation, all the thoughts are all saved, and you can walk away and focus on what you need to focus on. And lastly, in the completed column, once you do complete something, it's important to also document how it was completed, or like where you published the work. So for instance, if you were making a dribble shot or a blog article, you would link back to where you published those pieces of content. So that, again, like when that completed list gets, 50 plus big, you might not remember where you publish those works. And it's important to remember that so that you can always kind of refer back to it. So again, there will be this filled template down below and also a blank template. You might want to customize the columns a little bit. This really worked out for me. I found that I complete many more projects than I used to now because my focus is so lasered. Anyway, tell me what you think. Thanks.